right, cool. We are live. I will dump all the recordings this week. I'll just schedule them to pop out every 2 days before I go, so they're all on the system for reference for us. Who wants to do recap? Who wants to kick us off?
We kicked ass, and nothing bad happened.
No one well, it's not true. All of our NPCs have names, which Chris, I feel like you did on purpose to
Totally did.
torture us when
Totally
you
did.
killed them.
Yeah, when they were fucking mind blown. So we pick up in media res was Altaik carrying Rick onto the ship, and then Lieutenant Keyes and the two other Gith, they're the TH, not the F.
Yeah. You can use Get Yankee if you want to.
Yeah. The Gith Yankee and Toad and Val were defending the shield generators from the remaining forces on the ground. And then a giant worm popped out of the ground. A aberrant worm, in fact. No, normal worm. And on its back was a mind flayer, who was going to be a big threat. So Altaik and Rick had to deal with that while everyone else had to defend the generators. Lieutenant Keyes and his men didn't do great. I think when was it that Lieutenant Keyes' men got melted?
They got melted by the worm. Go ahead. Sorry.
The worm. And the worm kind of spit some poison acid, and they came to defend with Valerian, with the shield generator versus the big worm. They got melted.
Yeah.
While the Mind Flayer aura farmed all the way towards the Dragonhawk.
Yes. And then Rick was revived by Krath, and said Mind Flayer was sent back home, thanks to the staff of, what was it called again? It's in my inventory. The Voyager staff. Rick used the Voyager staff and sent him back home. But not forever, unfortunately.
Yeah, he came back with friends.
Well, yeah. First of all, another Mind Flayer buddy, and then also a bunch of little dudes. So we had to deal with the worm and two Mind Flayers and a bunch of little guys. The little guys didn't end up, a lot of them fell to their deaths trying to get on the Dragonhawk, which was good. But the two Mind Flayers and the worm did some damage. Particularly the Mind Flayers did some damage to the Dragonhawk's crew. And we have lost a few crew members for the first time in our journey.
6, I think, right?
Lost 6.
It was originally 6, but that was due to my miscalculation thinking that you had 2 ballistas, so it's actually only 3.
We lost 3? We lost our ballista guys that we've had since the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So that was sad. But we did eventually overcome. I don't remember precisely. How did we kill the worm, the giant worm?
The cannon, right?
Yeah,
Got the killing blow?
We did employ the Dragonhawk as an actual combatant in this fight.
Yeah, we Valerian commanded the crew a couple times to fire on the worm, and it did massive.
Mm-hmm.
And then called Phantom. Valerian called Phantom to him as they fought the 2 remaining Mind Flayers, and they eventually both died. One, before he died, sent another Mind Blast and stunned Phantom, and Valerian was left picking up Phantom and his crew.
And Toad bonked that Mind Flayer so hard we couldn't recover the body.
Yeah, yeah. Literally described.
Toad specifically said scientifically unrecoverable. I think I don't know if those are the specific words, but
I think I said unfit for science.
Yeah.
Toad, unfit for science bonker. That's the full name now.
So there's just pieces of Mind Flayer on that island where that one was bonked. The other one we did recover the corpse of, though.
We also have a frozen mind witness.
That's true. Oh, we have a very a mind witness ice cube.
And a neothelid corpse that is harvestable potentially.
Mhm.
Oh, boy,
Maybe
yeah.
edible. Can't wait to find
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Yum yum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fact that you rubbed your hands right there.
Yum,
We
yum.
heard you. We heard you rubbing your hands.
Exactly. It makes it better.
Ah. Maybe I should add more monster harvesting mechanics in this game. I got a whole book of that bitch.
No,
Delicious
it's
and dungeon
practical. We live on a ship. We can only carry so many things with us. We gotta eat stuff that we kill.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, we're very close to on there right now, but we can't let anything go to waste.
I'm gonna make a note of that. I'm gonna go into my. I totally do have some monster harvesting material. I'll make a note of that while I'm gone. That'll be interesting.
Good old Neo the Lid.
Mm-hmm.
Nia the lid. Also, Altaic almost let Captain Keys die.
Yeah, that is true.
Infinite Keys
I
ran over to get the healing potion and then ran away immediately.
priorities changed once 2 mind players appeared, and he was going to heal. Captain Keys was going to be fine. He was stable. He was stable.
Now
and
you knew that.
and I knew it, and you knew it, and he was stable,
Yeah.
and we had all sorts of monsters to deal with. I totally didn't forget because we went to break right then. I totally thought, yes, this is what we did. I agreed with Toad, with Allie, that we were going to use this potion to revive Captain
And we
Keys.
all watched you confidently say, "I'll take steps
was
away
last.
from Lieutenant Keys."
While he bleeds out on the ground.
He
No
would be-
medicine check to see if he's stable.
Shakes
Keys
the
would be
blood off
proud
the
of what
bottom of
happened.
his boots.
Captain Keys would have approved this change in plan. He look at all of those juicy targets for synaptic static.
Ugh.
That's true. Yeah, you did kill a bunch of little guys. I'm
Mhm.
sure he would support your military decision.
Exactly.
Ugh.
We decided it as a team, and so I feel like there's
Communicated.
wiggle room. There's responsibility to shift around. I just gotta find it.
Said, I read his mind, actually. You guys wouldn't know because you don't have that power, but I do. And his mind was like, no,
Yeah.
don't save me.
Mm-hmm. Captain Keys
Unfortunately,
actually
with all-
smiled a bit. I could tell. Because...
So funny.
I'm gonna start throwing Baldur's Gate 3 themed Dark Urge prompts at Altaic and see what happens. Oh, look, a squirrel!
Savina ends up dead on the ship somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's our.
Oh, she's the bard?
She's the bard.
That just happened to us in our playthrough.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
How did Sasha react?
I convinced Sasha to do the Dark Urge playthrough in our joint Baldur's Gate campaign. Yeah. She's good. She's
He
playing.
said emotionally suffer.
She's playing like account like I'm not gonna like submit to this, but it's very much like, oh shit. So yeah, nobody spoiled the rest. The bard is the last scene that we remember, so that's all I got left.
good.
Well, that I remembered. I didn't tell her any of them. That was hilarious. The squirrel scene. It's great. Anyways, everybody take
They
your
really go all out with
inspiration.
that shit.
They really went crazy. Everybody take your inspiration.
Woohoo.
As the battle that has taken place on this monastery comes to a close, there are many a fallen that are being seen to taken care of in this moment that, you know what, let's do this again. let's paint the scene of this aftermath. I would like the group to contribute as you see. I'll start it with Lieutenant Keys directing people from downstairs to come up and begin collecting and moving bodies. And there is the straightforward, no emotion in his voice, and you can all hear the orders he's giving echo across this, beautiful waterfall grassland in this moment. But let's fill in for everything else. Let's start from the bottom. Let's start with Val. Help contribute to this aftermath scene for me.
I think maybe with the worm and acid, that it was like how violent the acid was. Since it was pierced with the ballista and likely the cannonball even, I like to think that the acid is kind of spilling out in a lot of the areas and making the monastery that was once very lush and green. You can see very clear scars of acid burn where plants will not grow for a very long time.
Ooh, I like that. Okay, let's go to Toad.
I think Toad. After having helped Rick do as much patching up as possible on the crew that was injured, I think that they offered their assistance to Lieutenant Keys. I think that they go and check on Keys just to make sure that he's physically hale. How do the Gith honor the fallen? Are they a community that buries their dead, or
would you like to contribute to that? I have nothing currently in my notes. I would love a contribution from you if you think you have an idea of that.
I imagine it's more Viking-like, maybe, in the they're a spacefaring people, and so maybe it's more about funeral pyres and spreading ashes amongst the stars, and so I think Toad helps build funeral pyres.
Excellent.
For the fallen.
Hell yeah.
I love it. Okay, let's go to Rick. What do you observe in this moment?
Yeah. Is there any fighting going on outside in the atmosphere above the monastery at the moment, or is it all finished?
It is all finished. The Nautiloid ships that were bombarding have been driven off. Not destroyed, but had been driven off from the planet.
Gotcha. Then I think after a period of time, the shield comes down, and there's sort of a big, almost like a vacuum release where it becomes eerily silent, because in the background this entire time we've had that sound of the shield going on, like a low hum, plus all the debris hitting it, and that's suddenly just gone, and we're just left with very quiet rain. I imagine the storm is maybe letting up a little as well in time with the end of the battle. And so there's just this kind of silence that falls over everything.
Soft. The rain striking the vegetation that is still alive. Yes, I love it. Finally. I'll take it.
Yeah, so there are a couple of priorities. What sort of attention is Altaic getting in the, post aberration attack? Is he allowed to roam freely? Or does it seem like that's not the first priority?
Up here, with the collection of the dead. You are not approached, but you are not. You are not shunned, but you are not approached. But your group has not made their way downstairs yet.
It seems that Podcraft and Rick might have triage addressed. Something that was on Altaig's mind is that this Mind Flayer seemingly attempted to contact him. And this might be an opportunity to get some context. You know, there are no salvageable remains of the Mind Flayer, but do they have any artifacts or do they have any effects?
Yeah,
This is something that I think I'll take, trying to get us, try to get a sense of what the scope of this attack was.
Yeah.
He's going to invest, he's going to look into the...
Yeah, as you're looking into the scope of the psychic attacks, I'll add the last piece of emphasis here, where I think your crew, you all observe, is suffering from, the trauma of having their minds invaded and repeatedly psychically damaged, right? So while the Githyanki don't avoid you, Altaic, I will say the skeleton crew that you had on the ship is absolutely giving you a wide berth right now. However, as everyone's kind of dealing with the, post-trauma of this fight, everyone's kind of dealing with their minds being in a haze, as everyone at some point in time suffered some sort of mental attack and attempts to force your minds to the wills of these psionically powerful aberrations. And one of their remains is still intact, and they lie dead at Toad's feet. So we'll pick up there. As Altaic assumedly approaches you, Toad, as you both stand over the body of a dead Mind Flayer.
He was trying to give me instructions. But, the ring.
But surely he knows you wouldn't have listened to any instructions given.
I suppose. I just... They haven't been so directed. And maybe, obviously we are just attacked, but maybe this is an indicator of something larger happening within the cephalopod factions. Do we think that this is a move by a joint operation with their full backing? Or is it just one side making a move? But I wanna see if I can find anything that can illuminate what's going on without taking off the ring.
I think it's best if you leave the ring on as much as possible. I can't imagine how else they found us. If not,
Yeah.
we're not exactly quiet about where we are, but I don't know what would have caused them to become so aggressive. I don't know what factions we've interacted with. And I don't know that to people in charge it will matter that there are factions within their society.
No,
Not after this.
It won't matter to them, but it'll matter to us, I think.
It matters
hope.
to me.
Do you mind if I... Well, dig through what's left.
Yeah, sorry, I maybe got a little overzealous, but
No, you did a good job. The I thought we handled them quite neatly, but then they came back with more. So I see, this has a feel of finality to it.
I think it's concerning that they were able to teleport inside of the shield. I don't know what would stop them from doing that again.
Right? It seems like these are big moves to play, very revealing. But what were they hoping for? To kill a prince? To disrupt this council? Was capturing someone a priority? I'm hoping to find orders. Something identifying. about
So,
why they're here.
give me a. You know what? I'm not going to make you roll for this. As an aberration yourself, in the time before, writing is not a concept that the aberrations typically use. Because the majority of commands, directives, initiatives, wills of individuals higher up in the, I guess, power structure of the aberrations are all psionically inclined, like these mind flayers. So you know, as you're digging through their corpse, that you're not going to find anything in writing, because everything was sent via telepathy. And there is a brain left, but you cannot find anything in writing for this on the Mind Flayer. And if anything, they're carrying very little. All they have is the armor that's on them. And all of the enemies that lie dead here do not carry anything that you would identify of value outside of, you've got a bunch of crappy armaments at this point, and some breastplates. But nothing that in the civilized world would be recognized as anything of value.
Sure. Does the brain seem active at all? Like, we've seen intellect devourer like things. Does it seem like it's taken some of that level of independence, or is it just a brain?
It is not. It is not independent. It is not a mind. It is not a intellect devourer piloting a mind flare. However, as you're observing it, the two of you can tell that, right? Like, the body is dead, the brain is dying, but there are you can feel some arcane movements in the mind as it is failing from life. So there are some threads there that are still, as the brain is dying, there's still some synapses firing. But due to the arcane power of this creature, part of that synaptic jolts is also arcane psionic energy. So if you touch it, you might get hurt.
Touch it.
Yeah. I'll take, takes a note. It's like it's still alive. I think there's still something I can trace some thoughts. I'm fairly confident I'm strong enough to withstand an intrusion.
Well, let me help. And I will cast a second level healing word.
Okay.
Just to give him a little more.
Okay.
Gotcha. And Altaic will be. He will cast detect thoughts, but as he does so, kind of like both hands reaching down to grasp
Okay.
the brain matter.
Okay. As you
Thank you.
probe into the brain of this dying mind flayer. Make me. What would this check be?
Thoughts.
Let's have it be. No, let's have this be Arcana. Yeah, give me an Arcana roll, please.
Gotcha. 24.
Okay. Right. Hold on, just writing something. So, you have probed many minds before, and aberrant minds are no stranger to you. And you understand that when attempting to grasp as much information as possible, you're going to get some things immediately, and you're going to have to kind of dissect other things later. It's almost like, if we're looking at it in our terms, there's plenty of there's going to be some big files that you can download that are not zip files, and then there's going to be zip files that you're going to have to extract later. So you are yes, so you are going to have to spend some time later to dissect a lot of what you're seeing.
Okay.
But one thing is very clear, and it is what you are seeking. You sense a formal order from the leader of this individual. And I will put that in character chat as you recognize, as this mind flayer is standing on a nautiloid bridge, you're looking through the eyes, but you're recognizing the voice, and you're recognizing that this mind flayer was receiving a message at this time. And this is the message that is received. And for the sake of the video, I will also read it. The individual that the psyche that you're currently occupying is known as Grex, Tamer of the Eighth Worm, Scourge of the Untouched. An individual sends orders to them with the following. Destroy these new forces opposing the will. Seek the path in which they travel through lesser means and close the breach. No more of these false travelers shall be permitted to sully the plans for the great revival. Should the insolent one arrive, remove the appendage containing the ring that hides them from the sight, and bring them to heel. Your efforts bring us closer to the change we so seek in this system. They will grant us the power to eliminate all who oppose our will. For the change we seek. Grex understands this to be orders from one Lieutenant Zalak, second seeker of the revivalists, bringer of the will.
How do you feel about being the insolent one?
I know, right? I have a title. Ooh, I love it. Yeah, they're coming across this passage in the, or this missive in the vast, in the vast library of knowledge, thoughts, memories coming from this dying brain. But there's definitely a kind of wry smile that stretches across Altaic's face as he gets here's the phrase, insolent one. Well, that's too much, maybe, for me to unpack now. But they were here. This one was named Grex, and they want us perhaps make an assault on all anyone who travels across cyberspace. For this event they refer to as the Great Revival,
It's concerning. I can't imagine what they're trying to revive. Whether it's something or someone or some concept.
But now we have context. We can perhaps look up these phrases in the in the Dragonkin library. We have names for events. Perhaps any histories for these worm tamers, and these figures known as these factions known as the revivalists and the bringers of the will.
I'm curious what a false traveler is as well. You hear Rick say from across the entire ship.
Yeah, I bet Rick would be really interested in the false travelers part. We should specifically talk to him about that.
I have a question, Mr. GM. If you maybe this is not something you want to answer because we need to figure it out on our own, but my impression from this is that they were here to stop the Gith more than they were the Githyanki more than they were here to stop us because of the whole like close the breach thing. They got that portal here on Zarantir, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what I'm supposed to take from this, or is that something I'm supposed to figure out?
Do you bring this message to the Githyanki to help you interpret this? Do you share this with anyone outside of your group?
First, it would be shared with the Dragonhawk crew. But I'll take wouldn't be against sharing this.
Yeah,
with a gift.
Rick would absolutely try to ask them because they're clearly more familiar with this than we are. So Rick would vote yes to share, if that is what we're doing.
This wasn't just a attack on, this wasn't just an attack on the Dragonhawk crew because I was here. Although
that'd be nice. Wouldn't that
apparently
be nice?
that was a bonus. They made a coordinated attempt to close these breaches or those traveling or these false means of travel.
So, assuming that you shared this information with the Githyanki, speak now or forever hold your peace.
Yeah, I think we should 100%.
Yep.
Okay. Lieutenant Keyes writes down the message and brings it to Captain Kolos to discuss more and see what information she can share on it. But he will confirm your suspicion, Rick. They have fought aberrations for millennia, and they have consistently been called false travelers by the Mind Flayers and the Aberrant kind. Because, as Lieutenant Keyes states it, they are self-serving, nihilist. Basically, they see themselves as the true stewards of the universe, and the Githyanki are also a sprawling, traveling group, and there have been throughout time conflicts between the two of them, and so they have labeled the Githyanki false travelers because the aberrations view them as not pure beings that should have the same rights that the aberration, specifically Mind Flayers, have.
Total also asked if Keith can include in his inquiry to Captain Kolos about if they know anything about the different factions that we've learned about amongst the Gith.
Okay.
We know about one so far. If they've heard of the revivalists, that'd be nice if they could tell us about them.
Yep.
Yeah.
He will pass that message along. He doesn't know anything off the top of his head, but he will push it to her, and I will that'll be a post-session thing.
Yeah, I'll also ask her, Mr. GM, if you could ask her for us. Ask her, like, is Lieutenant Zalak well known, or is this is it like they're not that familiar with like aberrant leadership? I wonder if he's like a man in high position, or if he's just the guy who happened to send them to it, or if he's just one guy. You know, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
is this a particularly notable mind flayer?
Yeah. Okay. I will write that down.
I don't think Grex was. I don't think G Rex was particularly notable because we did kill him.
He is dead.
Yeah. He's dead.
Not notable. We killed him.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Anything else you want to ping Captain Clovis about information on the Illithids that they might know?
Great revival. We know who the insolent one is, I do believe. I think we can assume what the site is, which is the way they're trying to contact Altic.
The breach. Do we know like more about that phenomenon on this plane?
You might have bad memories of it, but the rest of the party could fill Altaic in on the breaches into Kithri, which is the plane of chaos on this planet, which is how the Githyanki made it to the material world.
Mm-hmm.
And those are ever-shifting breaches that were being maintained by the giants, by the half-giants.
Yeah.
As far as where those breaches are, your party was never told of the location of those places. That is like the biggest secret that the Githyanki keep to themselves, because that's their only way in and out of their homeworld. All you know is that access to the breaches by the Githyanki has been restored on this planet, on this moon.
Which is why there's so many of them now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was the was that the purple worm fight? I think it was a purple worm fight.
That might have been the purple. I think it was a purple worm fight, like a secondary thing that we decided to do because we thought it'd be cool.
We wanted to hunt the purple worm because we needed to get food.
That's
for
right.
the Goliaths.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the Goliaths. Yeah, the half giants.
And we ended up with way too much fucking food.
Yep.
And also to appease Skalek because we told him where to find the corpse of it.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, because we pissed him off.
Yeah, y'all were just like, "Can we go fight a big monster?" I think that's what y'all said, or something like that. Yeah. Yeah, that's what you got.
Hold on, what's his name? Neo the Lid. Yeah, Neo the Lid. Was he the 8th worm? Is that what I'm getting from that, or is this like a different worm? Would it be WURM in this case? Because Tamer of the 8th worm, is it referring? I guess I wouldn't know. Rick would not know if Tamer of the 8th worm refers to Neo the Lid, that particular Neolithid, or if this is like
that seems like a reasonable association.
If they only have like that, if they're counting worms by one, that's probably pretty good that we killed one. Then they might not have that many.
True.
There are at least 7 more though.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Well, unless it's like the 8th worm, like, and the rest of the worms are dead. It's like one at a time. You know?
Yeah, like the 8th worm is like the 8th generation.
Yeah, he's like Neo the Lid, the 8th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
His great grandfather.
There are 0 others. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, that's the last one we're gonna ever fight.
Nice.
Okay.
That's all I have for the.
Wait, can we change Dragonhawk name to Dragonhawk the Slayer of the 8th Worm?
Mm-hmm.
Slayer of the 8th worm.
That's a badass title.
Can we call ourselves the False Travelers instead of the Dragonhawk
No,
Initiative?
because that's
that
the
seems
Githyanki.
pretty cool.
They're the false travelers. We kind of stolen valor if we did it.
Well, if we travel like that.
Billows their cloak disappointingly.
I stay forgetting that Toad has that cloak. Comes out in the best of moments. Okay. All right. You know, you likely need to speak with Ondarian forces leadership.
Yeah.
Because you were in the middle of a trial. So you know that they're likely downstairs and can seek them out, but I'm not going to railroad you. You know, if you want to go be pirates, now's your time.
Before they do that, I think Toad will seek Rick out. I'm not really sure what type of funeral rites are necessary for Dover, Haldor, and Eric, but obviously we need to notify their families, but should we bury or burn them here, or will their bodies be shipped back home?
Well, Rick is actually looking at the crew manifest to determine that, because it would be based on their wishes. So this is Rick's. I think this is, Rick's taken this to be his job now.
Mhm.
Not only just as ship surgeon, but as ship chaplain.
You
He's gonna
have
be doing
control
that.
of this. You interpret this
Yeah.
as you see fit.
Then I think. So, if do you have any ideas for sovereign host funeral rites, Chris?
Not off the top of my head. No.
Gotcha. There's nothing you wanted. There's nothing you had
No.
in mind.
No, I'm
Okay,
leaving
gotcha.
this fully in your camp unless you want me to help you come up with ideas, but I think this is a nice moment to let you kind of run this show.
I think that all three of the fallen gentlemen are going to be sent back to their families. My impression is the bodies are intact. Yes,
They are. They are.
Like there's no. It's just it was entirely like mental damage. That
Internal
that
mental
right?
damage, yes.
Yeah. So they're going to be very well taken care of. Sort of held on board in a very respectful way, until we can get them back to their families. And so Rick is preparing their bodies as we speak. It's going to be also obviously accounting for all their possessions, and it's a very, I think it's not a pleasant process for Rick, obviously, but someone has to do it, so he's getting it done.
You are also, unfortunately, the coroner and the mortuary affairs officer.
Yeah.
So. They, Dover, Haldor, and Eric, did not have. They were not rich men. The three of them ran a nightly or bi-nightly card game in the entertainment area, as soldiers are wont to do. All three of them former veterans of the last war. All three of them were previous Dragon Hawk Initiative crew members in the last fight, and enlisted back again because Chief Gus came. They were huge supporters. They were some of the loudest speakers in favor of Chief Gus's initiatives and thoughts and feelings. They were a soldier, if you will, and they were well respected, well behaved. Little bit of a potty mouth on them when they got too deep into their cups gambling, but it was always in good spirits. And they go ahead.
In light of this, well, not even in light of this. This was going to be something he was going to ask anyway. But I was going to ask the captain. Now I think I'm going to go to Gus. If we, at whichever point Gus rejoins the crew, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we've established yet that we've gone inside the monastery, and that's I think where Gus was at, right?
Yes, Gus was inside the monastery.
Gotcha. So then whenever we reunite with the whole crew, I think, and let him know what's going on, I think Rick is going to ask Gus if he would like to, because there's gonna be a funeral for these men when they return to their families, obviously, but Rick would like to ask if Gus would like to hold a funeral on the ship for them as well.
I think Gus, whenever we get to that point, we're playing a little bit of timey-wimey, but I think Gus would want a ceremony during the dignified transfer, right? Because you will have to transfer the bodies to another ship. I mean, you don't have to, but it's probably most efficient to transfer the bodies to another shuttle ship going in between Eberron proper and going through the Ring of Sybaris back into the atmosphere. So you could do a ship ceremony for the Fallen as they're transferred between ships. And that would be Gus's suggestion.
Yes, Rick will abide by that when we get to that point. I think for Rick, this is also does not want it to be shown that we're taking it lightly what happened, and and obviously every single crew member of the Dragonhawk will be invited and allowed to attend, of course, because this is not something that should be like forgotten easily.
Understood. What else would you and the group like to do? Actually, I need to ask, what are you going to do with the intact, semi-intact mind flayer that you dissect the brain of as it's losing those final neuron connections? Are you keeping that body?
Are we doing some autopsies and nonsense later? Or now?
I
guess
think, yeah, I think Toad would suggest that we autopsy the intact body, just so that we can get an understanding of like strengths and weaknesses, if we can,
Okay.
of our enemy.
Okay.
But Toad will offer to shove it into a chest of cold or whatever
Gotcha.
Chest of cold,
for
yeah.
looking at later.
Yeah.
There are
you
other
can-
things that are more important right now.
You can do an in-depth study to add it to your dragon shards, and you can get a write-up for that depending on how well that autopsy goes. So, like, you could potentially how well you go see the whole damn stat sheet, if that is the case. So we'll play that out in a later date, and I'll make a note of that. If you so choose to do that autopsy, that's what's on the table, is potentially being able to see the stat sheet, seeing the capabilities of at least this mind flayer and types like it. Okay. What else?
I have a thing I want to do during this is definitely going to take during downtime, but I guess we could do this in the session, at least this in the session. I would like to find Captain Valerian and see how he's doing first.
What's Captain Valerian doing?
Valerian is I think Valerian is writing like letters to his family. And not to his family, sorry, to the Fallen Soul families of the bravery they had, and just honoring them. And I think that's probably where Rick finds Valerian. Maybe after a while, on the first couple days, it's just like rendition after rendition of the letters. He just can't seem to get it right. Until he does. He wants to make it.
So the first 20 minutes after the battle, you can find Valerian furiously trying to write letters and struggling, and that's when you can walk in, Rick.
Is this a bad time? Should I come back later?
No, of course not. What's up? How's everything
Well,
looking?
yeah, I just wanted to get a little bit of a debrief on some of the things that happened today, specifically how helpless we were against the psychic attacks. And, Dragonhawk's a great ship. And I trust Oak Blossom with my life, but if we would rather, go up against a 100 cannon dreadnought than another mind flayer. We were completely helpless. We have to do something to make ourselves stronger against this.
To be honest, I was when I came back with Phantom, I thought that even Oak Blossom killed or worse. Yeah, I think we have to do something, but I don't know how we fight them. I don't know how we fight those. You took it back to its plane. The same that we've done with other creatures, and it came out with friends. It's like it came out with reinforcements. Like you helped it, and if it can take some of our most powerful abilities and use it against us, and I mean, we even saw it blow someone's brain up in front of us. another one of them, by the way, which I'm sure has all the abilities and defenses that they need. It needs to be able to defend against a mind explosion attack, but it still had its brain exploded. It's just it's hard to not feel helpless.
Well, to this end, we have a couple resources at our disposal. For one, we got Altaic. Maybe he can help us figure out some way to protect the ship. Some way we can alter our atmosphere bubble, maybe some kind of material that their psychic powers don't go through. And, I mean, Altaic's got the Bring of Mind shielding. I don't know if we can make a whole ship-wide version of that, but it's something to go on at least. We need to, before we get back out there, or before we go any further into cyberspace, I'm not going to another moon until this ship and this crew is safe from another Mind Flayer.
Yeah, I mean, if you have ideas, speak to whoever you need to try to get something like that. But I mean, even the problem using the mind shielding ring in the first place is that it has Alaric's soul in it.
Yeah.
You
I don't know how many.
if
I don't know
we
how many
break
rings
it-
of mind shielding are flying around out there either.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, what we could do, maybe. I think if we have no other options, it would be to go to the library.
Yeah. Try to figure something out. We've also got some great ship making friends on Olarun. If they maybe have any ideas.
The Hadozi, I mean, I really do want. I think that the ships that I saw in the books they had, insane. They were larger than life.
I have to do some experiments as well. For that, I guess I can recruit Altaic. Maybe figure out what some kind of, I don't know. Can they? Is there something we can find out there that their powers just don't work on? Some kind of metal or material or something. I don't know. I guess we got to figure it out.
Or maybe even the Hadozi could make us something that we could use, almost like a thing that you put on a very top high pole that sends a signal.
Like a lightning rod? What are you talking about?
Yeah, like a lightning rod, like a antenna, lightning rod.
Oh,
But
like
not
an
an
antenna
antenna.
that would like attack, try to attract psychic energy to it.
Yeah, that either we could use against it, or maybe we could use it to boost a signal of, or the magic presence of something like the Ring of Mind Shielding, something that will protect us. Because, and we can use the magic and the manufacturing together. But thing is, I don't even know how to begin.
Well, we gotta do something.
What's very clear is, yeah, we have to do something. And if I'm honest, I think we have to pull every resource that we have. Because if we take an attack like that without the help of the gift, then we are not surviving.
I mean, if we survive, I don't know if our crew can take it.
Which would...
That'd be worse. That'd be way worse.
It's... Like, why? Like, I don't get why. What... we keep seeing these things around, like, what is happening? What war is happening on the last two moons that we don't know about? What's at stake, really?
It feels like it started here, didn't it? We made friends with the Gith, and now suddenly we're involved in this thing that we never signed up for.
Yeah. What if there's what if we could ever go to the Gith plane?
Oh shit!
The plane of chaos.
No, actually,
Gith.
they probably have some countermeasures against these squid dudes.
They would have to, right?
Okay, yeah.
This is their number one enemy. We learned that. Maybe we make some type of deal, not just with Zorantir, but with the Gith themselves as a civilization. And in exchange, we can get some of the technology that they use to help.
That's not a bad idea. Something to consider at the very least.
I mean, when you're out of options, you have to grasp at straws, I guess.
We
Also
got
very once-
leads. We got leads. That's what's important.
Yeah, but how many more people have to die before we can get it right?
Well, hopefully, we can get at least the Dragonhawk protected.
Okay, work on that. Let me know how that shakes out, and if you need my assistance.
I'll start accumulating information. I'll begin
everyone-
the research.
How's everyone else doing? Like, with like, Altaic and I mean, even me, I kind of jumped to judgment before sitting down to think about it. Still pretty angry at things that could be easily explained away, but how's everyone holding up?
How is everybody holding up?
Your crew? Well,
Yeah.
the crew that's on the ship is pretty somber at the death of the 3 crewmates.
Yeah.
They are pretty shook up in general because they were kind of brought into this combat. Most of them were already fighters, and they're handling it reasonably well outside of the whole mental fuckery.
Yeah.
There were very few that were on the ship that were non-combatants, and they are being comforted by some of the other more veteran combatants that were there, like the cannon crew that was present. I think Mr. Blip would be there comforting a lot of the more non-combatant folks, and kind of speaking to them. You kind of hear them speaking softly off in the corners of the rooms and whatnot. But the rest of your crew is still down deep in the monastery, and you don't know the status of about the majority of your crew, to be honest, right now. But that also requires you to face Hungarian leadership. So,
Mm-hmm.
what would you like to do?
Probably do
I guess,
that.
I guess that's the other thing, Captain. We gotta go and talk to the people.
Yeah. Yeah, we should. Let's gather everyone up, the officers. Let's go get a crew, and let's go try to talk some sense into what happened.
Oh boy.
Is everyone in agreement on this plan of action?
Yeah.
Time for a debrief.
Yeah. I was just saying, if y'all are going to go be pirates, now would have been the time. So,
Toad would never leave the crew.
yeah, you would have to be abandoning the crew to go be pirates. So, okay. All right. The 4 of you, plus Krath. Krath is coming to make sure that the rest of the crew is well treated. The ones on the ship right now are fine, so he's going to make sure that any of the non-combatants from the crew itself can get their wounds treated too, because he knows he can free rein down below and see if he can help out any sort of efforts down below. As you walk into the tree trunk that leads into the stairway down deeper into the monastery, the fizzling of the water as the acid still seeps into it, the goes on those of you with ears as you take your steps down into the monastery. What you hear is a ton of footsteps. You hear a lot of shouting. You hear some wails. But you also hear snippets of control and order. You hear Captain Kolos shouting out orders. You hear the Githyanki directing more issues up to her as you hear those commands coming up from the spiral stairwell that leads down to the many lower floors. You see a few wounded Gith and a few of your crew, being tended to by Signy, and Krath moves to join Signy in healing the wounded up here in this area. These seem to be the least wounded individuals. And you can see that Signy has some scratches, has some bruises, but is overall in good health. As you kind of survey the room around, you spot Captain Klolos, and she makes eye contact with you, Val. And there's a leader to leader moment of staring each other down, and then she gives you a respectful nod, but curt, and continues to speak to Captain Klolos or Lieutenant Keyes. But you hear a voice call her, and that is the prince, who is back in his seat. And as she goes to confer with him, as you look to the left side of the room, you see, following Captain Klolos, following her moving to the room, you see the prince sitting there, and you see the twins sitting there. They are, both the prince and the twin decans appear to be covered in like debris and rubble, as if like a ceiling, basically cracked and dumped a ton of gear on them. The prince seems undeterred and stoic as always when speaking with Captain Klolos. The twins are furiously speaking to their underlings and trying to make some semblance of stoicism, but they've lost some of their shine and, stature due to the soiling of their clothes, and you can see that it affects them. Does not seem to affect the prince. Kayla is not seen up here, but the perceptive bunch of you hear her voice a few levels down, shouting for a specific medical supply. Professor Auric comes up the stairway as you kind of take this whole scene in, and no words, approaches you, Toad, and just silently gives you a hug. And just says, "I'm glad you're okay."
And you and the others are. How many are lost?
A few from our department. There was another breach in the lab that we had set up here, and since spray only works so far, but two of our interns, who I quite liked, they'll need to go home. I was hoping I could speak to your captain about a transfer, that they can be brought back planet side when he has a moment.
I'm sure he would agree, but whatever is needed to take care of them and make sure their families are taken care of as well.
I'll make sure that things are ready. If you'll, I have to go to check on things. I'm sure I'll get that ready. And then she gives you one more curt hug, and then she heads back downstairs. So, that's the scene you see as you walk downstairs into the monastery proper. What would you like to do? Get a few friendly faces, a few potentially unfriendly faces in the room.
Are people in here looking at Altaic? Like, is the prince or the twins eyeing him suspiciously in any way?
I'm going to say that's going to be a perception check. Or an insight check. Either or. And if anyone else is doing the same, you may roll in this moment.
Ooh, okay.
Okay. Okay. I'll do Altaics first, because that
I
one's
also
pretty
did it.
straightforward. I
Sorry.
saw. Thank you. No, you're fine. I'll do Altaics first, because that's pretty straightforward with his insight check. Altaic, you're taking a lot in, and your primary order of concern is making sure no one's coming at you blade in hand. And no one is coming at you blade in hand.
That's good.
No one is staring you down from what you can perceive. The soldiers moving around, supplies and things like that, are too busy to care about you right now. So you feel
Gotcha.
like you can stand in this room right now and no spotlight has been drawn to you and it's not kill on sight. Toad and Rick,
Gotcha.
as you're kind of taking in the specifics of maybe some of the more influential members of this room, Lieutenant Keyes is looking over at Altaic, and he's checking his notes, but he has lost his sneer that he seemed to have permanently on his face whenever looking at Altaic.
No.
You take that in a positive light. The captain is stressed. She is no humor, no jokes. Speaking to the prince, you can't pick up what they're saying from the distance that you're standing in there. You know, you're not walking directly in front of this group here. It seems like she is having a semi-heated debate with the prince on some sort of matters. And Rick, you do pick up her say, "We don't have time for these games. Deal with it and leave." She walks off. And then finally the twins are looking, trying to both make quick, attempted, unnoticeable glances at your group as a whole. And they're failing, obviously.
Yeah.
And there is a look of... There's a look of concern. There's a look of a bit of fear. But there's also a look of coldness at your group. There's some calculations going on behind both of their heads. In regards to your group. So, you can approach the prince and the others in the northwest side of the room. You can talk to Captain Clovis and Lieutenant Keyes again. I'll assume at this moment you would get any of that information that you would get from Captain Clovis, or it would happen sometime while you're still here in the monastery. Or you could talk to Signy, or you could head downstairs and ignore the problems up here.
Anybody got anything they want to say to the people up here?
Altaic has an interest in staying very low profile, so no.
I think Valerian is mostly just focused on getting the crew back. So going to talk to the crew, see how they're doing, see how people are.
Yeah, I think Toad would be motivated to go downstairs, and has no interest in talking to people in charge.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, Rick will nudge Valerian, seeing that he wants to probably avoid seeing that Valerian is like making his way towards downstairs, and Rick will say, "Hey, you might want to talk to the prince first before you go anywhere. And get the captain and all. You might want to hear from you."
Okay. Can you? Okay. If it's not quick, just excuse yourself and then go down and check on them, please. I need to make sure they're. But let's go talk. Let's go talk.
Yeah, I'll come with you. Don't worry.
I'm gonna go downstairs
Okay,
unless you
perfect,
guys
thank you.
need me.
Yeah, I think Alteg wants to stay out of sight, out of mind.
Gotcha.
Hold join.
We're
We'll do
splitting the party. Oh
We'll
God.
split the party.
Oh god.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Toad and I'll will link up with Signy and get the whereabouts of the crew and go check on the Dragonhawks Pacific crew and get a gauge of what's going on downstairs. Meanwhile, Val and Rick will head to speak with the prince and potentially the decans if needed. Who wants to go first?
Val's gonna go first because he's the captain.
Let's do it. Now I'll go up to the prince. If he sat down and everyone's kind of like setting down, does it seem like it is like they are waiting for something, or does it seem like they're kind of reeling from whatever happened just now too?
They seemingly are working through a lot of paperwork on their desks and speaking to their underlings about other matters. They don't seem like they're just sitting around doing nothing. They are active in this moment. You're not interrupting a conversation, but they are busy.
Okay. I think Valerian will make himself known. His heavy armor clanking, still from the fight. As he summons it off. And Prince, I wanted to check with you. There was attack here, obviously. We've successfully defended things off. We briefed the people who are in the know of these kind of creatures and what happened. Can maybe piece some things together. 3 of my crew did perish in this fight. And I'm just checking with you to make sure that there's nothing else you need from me before I can get my crew and we figure out how to not lose people next time.
Aren't we all, Captain? Aren't we all? Well, I've received preliminary reports from the Githyanki here, who are topside, the one that at least remained. Losses have been reported in all floors of this monastery. It is going to take a significant amount of time to rebuild the operating capacity that we had. But that is my matter, not yours. You are concerned with the men underneath your command and those around you. So that we do need to resolve. First things first. I will be tasking your ship before anything else to conduct a transfer of all Ondarian citizens who requested burial back on Ondar proper to conduct a transfer with a shuttle. I am coordinating the pickup in tomorrow day's time. So regardless of anything else that you have planned, you need to take the ship out there. Do you understand?
Okay, understood.
I assume that this aligns with your goals, so I figured there would be no issues there. Secondly, the Decaniths have a formal request that I am required to let them speak of. He turns to them. He looks. There's almost like a sigh that slowly escapes his mouth as he turns his head. And the twins seem to pull back that last shred of nobility that they have, covered in like white soot of the stone that covers this monastery. And Redne speaks up. She says, "Yes. The Decanith household is issuing a formal request for the requirement of the ring containing the soul of Elric Decanith to be returned to the possession of House Decanith." Anyways, before they continue on, I am not required to order you to do that thing, because this is house politics matters at this point. However, there would be significant backlash should I just let this incident that you were called for here ride. As such, your orders are being changed, Captain. Attention to orders. The Dragonhawk Initiative, pending completion of preliminary matters of logistics and any recompense and acquisitions needs you should require, are to make all available haste to contact, confront, apprehend, or if no other possibility, eliminate the threat known as Lieutenant Zalak of the Revivalist Forces. I have been passed word on that there was intelligence gathered by your group, and as such, once you've retrofitted and refitted your ship as you deem necessary, you are to make all available haste to the moon known as Larvion.
Oh boy.
Do you understand these orders?
I do.
Very well. You fought bravely. You took losses, much as all of us. However, the aberrations have attacked a sovereign state of Eberron, and as such have been deemed enemies of the Five Nations as of tomorrow morning. I have petitioned the Thornhold Association to designate it as such, and we believe that we will receive the backing that we require from the other nations. I am tentatively allowing the aberration upon your ship to remain with you
Oh.
under the assumption that he will reveal all intelligence required to bring down and assault the threat of the orders I had just dispatched to you. Do you understand these terms?
I do.
Very well.
I will have to. The mission objective is clear. I will say that we are not a fighting force necessarily, but we can be. We were originally intended just specifically to be a force that was to be ambassadors of sorts. And a force that can defend itself, of course, but I will have to make sure that the rest of my ship, as I do not act alone, has the opportunity, at least, to say their piece, if that's okay. And
Prince Adele.
if it would be okay with you, I would love to be able to replenish my force on the Dragonhawk.
You command your ship as you see fit. When it comes to the logistical and personnel needs at this point, you have all the dossiers of the individuals of your ship. We have allies should you need to requisition off-planet. Unfortunately, at this time, I cannot requisition you new forces from the Ondarian home side. However, anyone on this monastery, should they choose, may volunteer to join your assignment or may be convinced. But I leave that in your very capable hands, Captain. However, to the matter of Lervion, I understand the scientific mission and ambassadorial status that is to remain with all other parties. However, when it comes to the aberrations, there is clearly no space for negotiations. And I am not requesting you to conduct full-scale warfare on the Illithid people. Should you find means of negotiation, I encourage you to do so. However, those negotiations cannot involve one Lieutenant Zalak. I'm sure you understand why.
Of course.
I understand you are not an attack ship. You were designed as a reconnaissance ship, and part of reconnaissance, with that in mind, your ship was as a secondary alternative built with infiltration. I've requisitioned some parts of potential technology that could be used of interest for concealment matters of your ship when it comes to the intrusion into Where Beyond Space, I understand, is currently under blockade. You are given permission to not break the blockade. Do not attack the GIF. Do not start another war, Captain. However, you are permitted to infiltrate the blockade for the purposes of this apprehension procedure, we shall call it for now, but I highly doubt that this individual will go quietly. Does that resolve the matter?
Okay. I think it does. Some of
Okay.
It is. It is a generous offer. I appreciate the technology, and I would request technology, especially if we were to find this lieutenant and bring him to justice. I will say that we can rely on our allies to even give upgrades to the ship and to be able to incorporate this technology in any way we can. Is there any outfitting that we can do to upgrade our own soldiers as well?
I'm sure that some sort of procurement methods can be negotiated with the quartermasters here. Supplies are limited. However, I will give you permission to seek that. However, I cannot grant that as I do not have current inventory methods on that matter. You may seek to negotiate specialty logistical armaments via contract with, and he nods his head over to the Decana twins, but that is a matter between you and them.
Ooh.
What other questions do you have?
I'll look to Rick.
I'm good. We got orders. We got some upgrades to pick up. We got some more upgrades to acquisition, and we got permission from the prince to do that. I think we got a mission.
Okay.
Very well.
Thank you for hearing us, and that's it.
Sorry about the attack. That sucked.
You fought well, though.
Yeah. Well, not well enough.
Isn't that the truth? You are dismissed. He looks up from his glasses again and goes back to his paperwork. Okay. Downstairs. Toad.
It's a party.
Altair. It's a party of pain. It's a party of pain.
Oh, pain party. Oh no.
It's a pain party. About a third of the Githyanki combatants have been lost during this fight. You see tons of structural damage throughout each floor of this facility. To include the port, the docks, it looks like 3 out of the 6 docking hangars have been completely destroyed by rubble and will need to be fully excavated in time. So they've lost half their docking capabilities and upgrade capabilities. Your crew was protected by your security team and your auxiliary soldiers during the fight, which you are now looped into the fight that occurred in the lower areas of the monastery, which you all played. However, you have not lost any other crewmates besides the ones that you lost topside.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just about to ask if crewmates like Thora and the and like Efni were also down here, or if they're up in
They
the
were.
Dragonhawk.
You do link, yeah. It's at this point that you're linking up with the rest of your, big name members who are assisting in different ways. Like I said, Signy before was assisting with healing. Efni is helping move some of the largest rubble out of the way, and others are providing logistical assistance, kind of helping out the Githyanki and the Ondarians as they can. And they do ask for, ask to be filled in on what happened topside.
Yeah, same thing. I'll take. We'll And I was like, I'm not very liquid right now. Should we get drinks? Feels like we need to share some stories.
Well, miraculously, the underground tavern has not been destroyed. It's currently halfway being used as a medical tent, but the other half is still mostly functioning. You can get your hands on some Everclear.
I might take that
Some
up
river
for
water.
that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll take. Um, we'll definitely share his. Kind of like go over the battle, trying to highlight as many of the successes of the Dragonhawk officers and crew as possible. He will get notably sheepish as the topic comes to Lieutenant Keys, but
Hmm.
but happy to note that you know through his own strength of constitution and Toad's healing, he's not only well, but handling much of the logistics above ground. So, Ethne, you killed? You killed one of those monsters down there? Woo!
It was no big deal. I did it to protect the others.
Guy's so cool.
How do you do it?
Wind gusts through his hair.
This
It's
is an
at this
entirely
point,
enclosed area.
right? Yeah.
This is an entirely
like the-
enclosed speakeasy.
It's like hair of billowing or something. I don't know.
Damn, is there a draft right now?
You see Toad is like creating like a little breeze with Druidcraft to like fluff Effie's hair.
Needs to be tousled for the effect.
It's at this point the whole gang can meet up down in the ramshackle bar, the hideaway bar that's now common knowledge to everyone.
Yeah.
The secret, not so secret bar.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, you've got your crew. You've got your orders. It's going to take you at least, we're going to say it's, talking to Signy about the orders. She estimates it's going to take about 3 weeks to Lervion, based on the orbits of Zarantir and the Lervion moon. So you have 3 weeks of travel to Lervion that you need to start. However, you were not given a specific departure time of when you need to head to Lervion to conduct this mission. However, you were told that it needs to be your next target.
Yeah.
So I'm going to end the formal part of this session. And if people need to go right now, we can go and chat, and do the chats over this long break. But if we want to stick around and chat about those things, we can. Sound good?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna end this recording.
Someone's tired.